Hello, my name is Bill Carrigan, a professor of history at Rowan University, and today I'm going to be speaking to you about James Gillam's memoir and history of his experience in Vietnam entitled War in the Central Highlands. Gillam's book took over 30 years to publish because he conducted extensive research in government records to enhance and supplement his own memories, and also because he had to spend quite a bit of time trying to deal just mentally with what had happened to him in Vietnam. Gillam was not alone. For many soldiers who participated in that decades-long conflict, it was a difficult subject to discuss. Remember that the United States had not triumphed as it had in other wars. It was, in fact, unclear to many soldiers who had participated what exactly the sacrifices of so many of their friends and fellow soldiers had actually accomplished at the time. Their reception back in the United States was mixed at best, and certainly was not the triumphant celebration of the soldiers returning from World War II. Film, literature, music, and attempted to grapple with the kind of meaning of the war, but the subject nevertheless remained painful and hard to discuss for many of those who had participated in it. And this is something that filtered over to other parts of society. High school social studies classes, for example, really refused to touch this subject for a long time, all the way into the 1990s because it was so controversial and difficult. Anyway, for all of these reasons, it's not surprising that James Gillam, whose participation in the war was, of course, personal and painful, as those of you who read the excerpt can know, took so long to put his memories into print. I first met the author when I was hired to teach at Spelman College in 1997. I worked there as an adjunct at first and then later as a full-time faculty member, and we became friends, and he shared with me many of his stories, and also that he was working on this memoir, and I encouraged him to continue working on it, as I thought his stories and perspective were definitely worth sharing. Like other great memoirs of war told by, from the perspective of an enlisted soldier like Gillam, and in fact, I often think about E.B. Sudge's With the Old Breed when I'm reading Gillam's work. Gillam's account brims with the same kind of details that help the reader as they try to fathom, exactly what they're reading in that experience for those who are never there. The terrible things done in war, the terrible things that young men find themselves doing. Like Sledge, Gillam's account both strips war of its glory while also paying great homage to those who fought for their country. Like Sledge, Gillam had entered the war in the middle of his college experience. Unlike Sledge, Gillam did not volunteer. He had failed out of college, actually, and was drafted. As he often joked with his students, failing out of college used to have real meaning, he said. And I think sometimes his students listened to him, and other times they didn't really get it. Anyway, he returned from the war, deeply shaken by it, but also more mature and more ready to finish college, which he did do. In any event, Gillam and Sledge both not only finished their undergrad degrees after their war experience, but they both went on to become college professor. In fact, Gillam, influenced by his time in Southeast Asia, became a specialist in Chinese and East Asian history, at least in part, he said it was inspired by his memorable encounters with Chinese advisors aiding the North Vietnamese soldiers while he was in Vietnam. Anyway, talking with him in the hallways of our building at Spelman College is one of my favorite memories of my time there. One thing that I realized is that part of him never ever left Vietnam. But I am glad that part of him that was able to survive found the way to share his experience with us so that we can better understand this war that left such a massive impact on our politics, our society, and our culture. Thank you. This has been Bill Carrigan for Rowan University.